Everyone, welcome back to, I guess we'll call them episodes. I don't even know what we're calling them at this point, but conversations with practitioners certified in the key polarity indicator assessment. I am here today with Brendan Geary. I've worked with Brendan before, but I'm going to let him introduce himself.
Yeah, thanks, Cole. My name is Brendan Geary, and I've been an executive coach now for maybe 7 years. And prior to that, I did a lot of senior HR work, as well as executive comp and benefits and strategy consulting. So that's kind of been the arc of my career.
That's great.
Yeah.
Brendan, tell me a little bit about why you initially wanted to get certified in the key polarity indicator.
Well, actually, I read Brian and Kelly's book, and that was the starting point. So I recommend it to everybody. When I found out that there was a KPI, and if you get certified, I was like, whoa, let me check this out, because I fell in love with polarities as a way of coaching, as a way of living, as a way of leading. And after I finished their book, I was like, wow, this comes up in coaching session after coaching session after coaching session. And finally, we have a way of actually bringing this to people in a structured way, with the KPI. So it was a no-brainer for me.
Yeah. Absolutely. So when you think about, your use of the tool, could you talk about, some of the different situations you've used the tool in, any big impact stories with clients that you might have, just to share with the people?
Yeah, sure. The one thing there's a few themes that come up over and over again. I think the most common ones are the tension leaders will have between relationship and task. That's huge. Whether it's challenging people or supporting people, whether it's warmth and competence, or whether it's directing and empowering. These are the tensions that leaders, especially people early to mid-career, as they get to a new level, these tensions start to spring up, because the old way of doing things, which is either telling people what to do or being nice and convincing and influencing people, they'll experience a new tension at some point in their career where the old way doesn't work. And that's where we come in as coaches. And the KPI just provides this fantastic framework for doing this.
Yeah.
So I think your question was like a success story.
Yeah, or anything you want to share, if you will. I mean, you don't have to.
No, and this is specific, but it also applies to a lot of different cases, a lot of different people I've worked with. It's like people are busy these days, and a lot of leaders are very task-focused leaders. I had one leader who was working in project management, and getting things done was the big identity that this person had. And they absolutely had no time for investing in relationships.
Yep.
And before we did this work, it was like, yeah, I don't want to be, how's your weekend and how's the soccer match and blah, 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 blah. Because in their mind, that was small talk.
Mm-hmm.
And that was not getting the job done. So they had identified relationships with small talk, like relationships equal small talk at work. It was fused. And when we did this work, we broke this apart. Wow, relationship is actually building trust and getting to know people and investing up front, so that when the task stuff comes, you got it. You've got a language for it. You've got trust. And it was just such a huge awakening for this person. Not only that task and relationship was integrated, but at this person's level, most of the work was actually the behind the scenes relationship work. So the minute they started to change the approach and start to look at their network, the strength of the relationships within their network, the actual task stuff just took off. It just took off. So with ease too, like there was no effort in. And this is one of the things when you start to integrate, what look like opposites, these polarities, it doesn't require a huge amount of efforting. It just requires some, first of all, like seeing things in a new way,
Mm-hmm.
and then practice, and then experimenting and seeing what works. So that, that part I love. Like, it doesn't require a huge amount of effort once you see it.
Definitely. It's great you say that. It's so funny. The two things I hear when I was listening to that story is, at first he had a negative connotation with relationship. It wasn't relationship for them at that point. It was, lollygagging, wasted conversation.
Uh-huh.
And then
Yeah.
as soon as you shift the way you even see the other pole, I mean, that's a huge step in and of itself.
Yeah. Yeah. I think this is the beauty of the KPI, is it just kind of lifts the veil. Clients get to see things in a way they hadn't seen things, get to see themselves in a way they hadn't seen themselves before. And even more beautiful than that, they actually get to see the possibility for themselves that they couldn't have thought about before. So it's really rewarding to see people embrace that possibility, and change the way they show up.
Absolutely. And the other thing I noticed in that story too is, for a project manager, the task probably brought them so much success, like to a certain point. And, they probably loved that part of their job because they knew that they were good at it. They knew they could really hold on to it because it made them so successful. And that transition is just, it's a thing of beauty.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. They're like, as I said, like a lot of people's identities are attached to what made them successful.
Mm-hmm.
And why question that? Yeah.
Absolutely. So could you tell me a little bit about, just to get a little bit more specific with the tool, some of your use with, the self-assessment, the polarity view, like how have you found some of those useful in certain situations? Like, is the self-assessment, a good tool with, a larger group? What do you see in terms of the impacts of the 360? Any way you want to take it. Is there anything you've learned in your time, as a KPI practitioner that you would, share with the people based on some of the more specifics of the tool?
Yeah. I think a lot of the value in the KPI itself is that it's not an assessment. Um, it's unlike a disc or something else that puts you in a particular color code or something, or a personality style. This is actually just what are my preferences? And what are my preferences in relationship to the preferences of the other pole? So and especially when people do self-assessments, what they'll get to see is like, where something is not as integrated. It could do balancing. Like, it's really good at seeing where something is maybe out of balance. You're over-identified or attached with a certain way of being. Like, being a very, very supportive manager is one. And then what's out of balance then is the challenge. Yeah. So even if you do your own self-assessment, you get to see that. So you might get to see where you're in an overuse, or you might get to see where you're not just picking up all the benefits. So even if you're a seasoned leader, and I've had seasoned leaders do this, and it all looks really good. But then when you actually get underneath it and you start having the conversations, people start to realize, yeah, I actually could be picking up more benefits here. Or I notice I still have some tension around something. Yeah, what if I looked at this differently? So the self-assessment is really valuable that way. Needless to say, 360 is super valuable, because then you get the different views from different people. Yeah, and most people listening to this will know the value of a 360 anyway.
Of course.
But from the polarities perspective, it really shows, how you might be showing up differently in different relationships or with different, parts of the organization.
Yeah, I love what you said about, maybe not labeling you. One of the best lines Kelly Lewis has ever said is the KPI does a great job of allowing people to get to a level of identity without, assigning you to somewhere or labeling you, as you know.
Yeah, cool. I mean, it's you see, it's not a diagnostic tool, it's a sense-making tool. And that's the beauty. that is the beauty of it. Whatever comes out, it's really down to the coach and the client to sort of make sense of it and then pull out from that. Wow, what is it that we're now seeing differently? And maybe what are some pain points that you've been experiencing, and where do you want to focus your attention?
Yeah.
So,
absolutely. And I know you mentioned a couple other assessments, and I know you're a certified leadership circle practitioner, leadership circle profile.
yep, yeah, I am. Yeah, and I use it in conjunction. Well, and I'm also certified in conscious leadership as well.
Mm.
And what I love about where the through line here is in, first of all, the polarities. The
Mhm.
leadership circle really looks at a leadership from a task and a relationship, and that's where a lot of I won't say split, but where a lot of the polarities exist. These are the master polarities: task and relationship, yin and yang. That is there in the leadership circle. It's also in the KPI with different flavors. So it's and flavors that aren't actually captured in the leadership circle, which is really great. It also has in conscious leadership and the leadership circle, you've got this idea of above and below the line.
Yeah.
Below the line being more of a reactive type of leadership, and in the leadership circle, an earlier stage of leadership. With the KPI, we're not even going into stage theory or anything. We're just like saying, where are you maybe a little bit doing overuses? And what I would say below the line. So it really is picking up on that. And then where are you getting the benefits, which I would say is creative leadership? And where could you be even picking up more benefits? So it's a fantastic tool if you're going to use them in conjunction with any of these other models. Really cool. Yeah.
Yeah. That's fantastic. And yeah, thank you for sharing that. Is there anything else, anything else you'd share with, a future potential KPI practitioner, or anyone considering doing KPI certification, or just, share with the world?
Let me think. I would say get certified. That's the first thing.
Yes.
It is, I used to say about myself, I had certification-itis. And I think I was in catch-up mode as a new coach from maybe 7 years ago. I wanted to get reskilled. And I did a lot of certifications in various things. And few of the certifications stand out as keepers. And this is one. This is a keeper. It just is a keeper. It's not an investment that you're going to leave on the shelf. You're going to be using it time and time again. And because it makes so much sense for the work we do.
Yeah, absolutely. And I thank you for sharing that.
Yeah.
And yeah, I'm out of questions. I'm so appreciative of your time today, and obviously your continued support.
Yeah.
And we do. And yeah, thank you so much, Brendan.
Yeah, well, thank you guys for what you're giving to the world. I deeply appreciate this, and I'm in love with it. I just use it all the time. So
awesome. Well, thank you so much,
good.
Brendan. And I'm gonna wrap us up here. And thank you so much for your time today.
You're more than welcome. All right. See you soon, Cole.
All right, Brendan. Take care.